Hey, how you doing? David Taub here with Epic Guitar Instruction. Hope all's going well, and I hope your guitar and musical journeys are going famously. Today we're going to learn a really fun song by the Plain White T's called Hey There, Delilah. It's from their 2006 third record, All That We Needed. And we're going to play the song in standard tuning, so go ahead and tune your guitars low to high, E, A, D, G, B, and E. They play the song finger-picked, but we're going to do it with a pick, but it's the same chords, whether you're going to do it finger style or with a pick, and it's the same bass notes also. So same thing pretty much. And there's only 5 chords you're going to need to play this whole song. You're going to need D major, F sharp minor. Now I'm playing the full bar chord F sharp minor. The way that he plays it live is he plays it like this. And you could certainly do that where you're barring with your first finger on the top 3 strings and you're grabbing the F sharp note with your third finger on the 4th fret of the D string. He does it like that. And you could do that. The reason I'm not doing that is because I want to play the more fuller chord, because with just one guitar, like I said earlier, I want to fill up the sound as much as possible. You're also going to need a B minor chord, G major, and A major. The song is in the key of D major. It's about 104 beats per minute, moderate pace. And if you could do me a favor before we get rocking, please subscribe to the channel. You know, subscribing to the channel, that really helps us to keep bringing the content, as well as then you'll be notified when we have new lessons up. Leave a comment below. Let us know how you like this lesson. Let us know what lessons you'd like to see coming up. And if you like the video, please click the like button. Give it a thumbs up, share it, and thank you so much for your support. So the song starts off with a little intro, which is basically just a D chord to an F sharp minor chord. And he plays that twice around. And so the intro will sound like this. Right into the first verse, which is, hey there, Delilah, what's it like in New York City? I'm 1,000 miles away. This whole song is basically built around the structure of eighth notes. So what I want you to be thinking about, and this is really going to help, especially when we start inserting the bass notes. So you're thinking eighth notes, which are 2 notes per beat, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. See, there's a 1 and before you get to the 2, the numbers of the beat. So 2 notes per beat. So just think eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? So for instance, for the intro, what we're going to be doing, if you're using a pick or if you're using the finger style, you're going to be hitting the low root note, in this instance, the open D string on the 1 and then the and you hit the rest of the chord. All right, and this is what you're going to be doing for basically every chord in the song. You're going to be hitting the low root note first on the 1 and then the rest of the chord. So you want to get comfortable with that motion. So basically if I count it, it's like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Then you change to the F sharp, same thing. F sharp, hit the lowest note, in this instance the F sharp note, 2nd fret low E string, 1, and then the rest of the chord. And 2 and 3 and 4 and then you repeat it. 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, and if you're doing it with your fingers, then just use your thumb on the low bass note, and then just come up with your first finger, or if you're using 2 fingers on each of the strings, on each string. But the same eighth note feel, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then you change. See, you're keeping that thumb on the quarter note, right? On the low strings, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. So same basic technique whether you're using your fingers or a pick. With the pick, is I'm going to be hitting like the lowest note or even the low 2 notes. It doesn't have to be exact. Don't think it has to be perfect, because again, sometimes having those more notes ringing is kind of cool because it will fill up the sound a little bit, since we have there's no bass player, there's no other instrumentation. So if you hit a couple of the notes, don't worry about it. So the main thing is just hit the low note or notes and then the rest of the chord. Same thing on that F sharp minor. See, that time I hit the low E and the A, it's fine, and then the rest of the chord, but you get that separation. Get that eighth note feel down. The intro goes right into the first verse, and here's the progression. And he basically plays verse 1 and verse 2 together. Verse 2 is is, hey there, Delilah, don't you worry about the distance. I'm right there if you get lonely. So it's basically verse 1 and 2 together. And later in the song, he's going to play verse 3 and 4. Those are exactly the same. Verses 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Same progression, same thing. Later in the song, verse 5 at the end is a little different, a little shorter. I'll show you that later. So I'll play one verse. I'll play like verse 1 and then we'll explain it. Because verse 2, verse 3, and 4, they're exactly the same. Starts over again and you repeat it. Okay, so you do that progression 2 times, that's verse 1. And then that goes right into verse 2. Do it 2 times again. You just played verse 1 and 2 and then it goes into the chorus. So for verse 1, play the same thing you did for the intro basically, where you're going from that D to the F sharp minor and you do it twice. Then you go to the B minor. Okay, here's where we're going to start inserting bass notes. Now, the bass notes you will see when I write everything out in parentheses. When you see a note, a letter in parentheses, that's the bass note. You're just going to hit one note. So when you go to the B minor chord, remember we play the lowest string, in this instance, 2nd fret on the A string. You're going to play that 1, and then the whole chord, and 2, and 3, and 4. On the 4. Every time in this whole song, on the 4 is when you insert a bass note if there's a bass note being played. So it's always on that 4. Remember that. So on the B note on the 4, you play the open A, which leads to the G. Here it is slow. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. No and. You just let the and rest. Then on the G, 1 and 2 and. You split it. Then go right to the A. 3 and 4 and. Then back to B minor. Full measure. 2 and 3 and 4 and. No bass note to the A. 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, I'll tell you what. Let me play that verse so you can get this. I'll do it really slow and you can play along with me. Here we go. I'll just do the progression one time through. And if you're having trouble with some of the bar chords in this song, or bar chords in general, I could really help you with that. Tell you what, click the link in the YouTube description box below. I'll send you a killer free video lesson. It's packed with technique tips, my essential technique tips for playing and changing bar chords. It's an awesome extended play video lesson. It's not on YouTube. It's packed with technique tips and exercises. It'll get your bar chord playing and changing just blasted to the next level. And I'll pair it with an ebook of mine, which has more lessons in it, more exercises. Fabulous 1-2 combination. It will really help you along in your guitar journey. Send them both to you for free. Just click the link below. So verse 1 and 2 you play, and that goes into this first chorus, which we're going to do now. Let me play the chorus for you, and then I'll go back and explain it. Listen as I play it, because he inserts a bass note each time the chord changes. It'll sound like this. And then right into verse 3. All right, so what we're doing there is that there's 2 bass notes. After each D chord, you're going to go to, on the 4, open A string to the B minor, and then the bass note on the B minor, going back to the D, is a C sharp note, which I catch on my 3rd finger, right? You just move it up, right, from that B minor chord to the A string at the 4th fret. That's a C sharp note. Okay, so basically how you're going to do this is on the D chord, 1 and 2 and 3 and, now here's the 4, open and. So you hit that open A string for the 4, and then I just go back to the D chord for the and then you change to the B minor. Here it is slow, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now B minor chord, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, notice on the 4 I grab that C sharp note, 4 and then just hit the rest of the B minor chord on the and then you're right back to the D chord. And you just repeat that. And he just repeats it 4 times. The 5th time he plays the D chord again. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and does the bass note again, D, and then he goes right back into verse 3. Hey there, Delilah, I know the times are getting hard, but just believe me, girl, someday. Verse 3 and 4, which is the same thing as the first verse and the second verse. Those are all the same, which then goes into chorus 2. Chorus 2 is the same. Oh, it's what you do to me. Oh, it's what you do to me. But this time he only does it 4 times. He doesn't go to that D for the 5th time. I'll play you the second chorus a little slower. It'll sound like this because right after that second chorus it goes into the bridge. 1,000 miles seems pretty far, but they've got planes and trains and cars. That's a different progression, which we'll get into in a second. But let me play you that second chorus without that ending D chord, and I'll go right into the bridge and then we'll explain. To the bridge. Okay, so in that second chorus, the only thing different is you don't play the D at the very end, and that last chord, the last time it goes to the B minor, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, you go to the open A, kind of like you did in the verse section. Then there's no and, there's a rest there, and then G chord, because the G chord is the bridge section. 1,000 miles seem pretty far. Here's the bridge, sound like this. Verse 5, back to the D chord. So for the bridge section, he switches up one of the bass notes a little bit. So basically you just do the G for one measure. A, they got planes and trains and cars. D, I'd walk to you if I had no other way. Okay, so from the D now, instead of going like in the verse where you would go to the open A string, you go to the C sharp note. So I grab it with my pinky on the 4th fret of the A string. So D, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. There's the 4, and you could go to the and, go back to the D, and then to B minor. 2 and 3 and... Now, on the 4 on the B minor, same as before, open A string, no and it goes right back to the G. Let me just play those 2 bass notes with those 2 chords for you. So on the D, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 to the G. It starts over again. You do the same line again. You do that 2 times. And then the rest of it is just straight 1 measure per chord on the G to the A. Now this time on the B minor, 2 measures. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then repeat 1 and 2 and 3, 4 and to the A for 2 measures. 2 and 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's the bridge. Then you're going back to the D for the final verse, verse 5. So verse 5, it's a little bit different, and that's where the words are, hey there, Delilah, you be good and don't you miss me. 2 more years and you'll be done with school and I'll be making history. Kind of lets the chord ring out there like I do. You'll always know because of you. We could do whatever we want to, and then there's some repeated chords. Here's verse 5, it'll sound like this. into the last chorus outro. As you heard, verse 5 is a little bit different. It starts off D, hey there Delilah, you be good, F sharp minor, and don't you miss me 2 more years, D, and you'll be done with school, and F sharp minor, I'll be making history. Now when he goes to the I'll be making history, 1 and 2 and 3. On the 3, he kind of just lets it ring. Lets it ring like I do. It goes to B minor, to a little, that A, B minor to your open A string for your bass, to G. You'll know it's all A because of you, B minor. And he does that B minor with A bass to the G 3 times. And then it goes to the last time B minor, A, G, hey there Delilah, 3 and 4, and here's to you, B minor for a full measure. This one's for you, A, and that A is 2 measures, 2 times through. And that's verse 5, and that verse 5 goes right into the outro chorus. It's basically a double chorus, so you're just doing the O, that's what you do to me, you're doing the D's to the B minors, right, with the bass notes in between. Right? So basically you can do that 8 times. And then the last time, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and then he ends with that big D chord. You can even get that open A string in there too. Just hit it once, let it ring, and that's the end of the song. Thank you so much for watching this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it. Really fun song to play on one guitar. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel because I got tons of killer content coming up and I don't want you to miss it. And if you subscribe, then we'll notify you when we have new lessons up. It helps us to keep bringing the content, right? And also don't forget, click on that link in the YouTube description box below if you want my free video lesson and ebook on essential bar chord playing techniques. It's packed with exercises, technique tips. Killer, send it to you for free. Just click on that link below. And I want to thank you so much for your continued support over the years and years. So appreciate it. And remember, your guitar playing is an evolution. So enjoy the journey. Take care and rock on, and I'll see you in the next lesson.